So let's talk about something else now. Let's talk about rhythm. Rhythm as we know it today did not exist in the first century. We know through music history that many things, such as four-part singing as well, four-part singing and rhythm as we now know it, following a beat, those things are really recent inventions. They've only been around as we know them for several hundred years. I'm fond of saying that when Paul wrote, I will sing with the spirit but also with the understanding, he wasn't talking about a quarter note because a quarter note didn't even exist back then. So we need to understand that this is something that is relatively new. But the songs that we use are written in that style. They are written in a style which depends somewhat upon rhythm. That is why we talk about leading singing by beating time. Now, I don't think that you need to know this. You don't need to know this at all, actually. It has its usefulness. As a musician, I know what it's useful for, and eventually we could explain that, but why waste time if you're going to have to be thinking about this all the time? I often see song leaders, especially young song leaders that have taken song leading classes, doing this. What just happened to the spiritual and the mental and the emotional? It all became physical. It's all about this. And that is a problem. Also, sometimes people don't do it exactly right, and that can be confusing to those of us who are musicians as well. If someone starts to sing, I want to be a worker for the Lord, I want to... Now, if you have some musical experience, you know what I just did wrong, and you know the kind of problems that can come from this. If you don't know what I did wrong, then you're not ready to do this. So, let's break it down to the simple stuff. Beat time with your hand like this. Learn to find the pulse of the song. This is the important thing about rhythm. It's not this, but it's understanding the pulse of the song. Pick any song. Sing the wondrous love of Jesus, sing His mercy and His grace. In the mansions bright and blessed, He'll prepare for us a place. There's a pulse. And even if you don't hear it, it's there. And as the song leader, you set it. And you don't have to do all this. All you have to do is move like this. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you. My pulse is a little slower now, but it's a pulse. Nearer, my God, to thee. Nearer to thee. Remember those songs we said everybody thinks are too slow? Well, it's usually just the lack of pulse that makes it feel like it's dragging. There are many, many different songs then that you can make a big difference by beating time. Some of them the congregation automatically catches, but some of them they need the help that you find by beating time. Now, as you beat time, I want you to look for one important feature. There's some beats that are stronger. I want to be a worker for the Lord. I want to love and trust His holy word. I want to sing and pray and be busy every day in the vineyard of the Lord. I will work, I will pray. What I want you to start doing is go through all the songs you know. Just sing them to yourself anytime and find the pulse. Find the pulse. And then once you get comfortable with that, and there's many different kinds of pulses, we're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful. You'll notice that some, even on a fast song, seem as though they're moving a little bit slower. Just find the pulse. Find the pulse. But then you'll also start to notice eventually, as you do it over and over, that there's a point at which the pulse is a little stronger. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. And that pulse that's a little bit stronger is what we call the downbeat. I want to be a worker for the Lord. I want to love and trust His holy word. Find that pulse. Even if you're listening to the radio, even if you're listening to secular music, I hope you're making sure that it's music that would glorify God. Even if it's not spiritual, it should be music that God would be happy you're listening to. Find the beat. Boom, 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 boom. Find where the stronger beat is. And before you know it, you'll be able to do that with your hand. Boom. Want to be a worker for the Lord. I want to. And look what automatically happens. If you're going to bring your hand down a little more, you have to also bring it up a little more. This is called the upbeat and the downbeat. I want to be a worker for the Lord. I want to love and trust His holy word. I want to sing and pray and be busy every day in the vineyard of the Lord. Later you can do all this, but start with this. This is all you need. And it's actually more important. Some people know how to do this, but they don't know where the downbeat is, and you'll see them getting lost and confused, and they keep flapping their arms the same way. But that's not what counts. What counts is feeling the pulse of the song. That's Songleading 101. Songleading 102, we can pass to the exact movements. But right now, let's understand the basics. And these are actually what are most important, because that's what will keep the congregation knowing where we are, keep them in time. And it's a feeling of security. When you're in time, you know exactly what you're doing. It just feels good. And when you finish the song, you have that feeling like that really went well. So that's what I want you to practice. Beating time. Any song you can think of, sing it. Any song you hear, any music you hear anywhere, start beating the time. Get the pulse. And before you know it, that'll be one more tool you can add to your song leading. You can keep the pulse.